Hello, 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 and welcome. My name is Ivy Prosper, and I tell stories from Africa and the African diaspora. And I often get people asking me a similar question every day, especially since I shared the video on my channel a few weeks ago about the 524 people who gained citizenship in Ghana. The curiosity and the questions are endless on how to get citizenship in Ghana. Now, I thought that it would be best for me to do a video to answer those questions because so many people are asking the same question. So why not put it all together in one place so that you can get your answers? Maybe you might end up with more questions after this video, but I will answer as best as I can with the knowledge that I do have, and making sure that you also understand that I am not a representative of the government. I did used to work with the government under the Beyond the Return initiative under Ghana Tourism Authority, but I no longer work there. And a lot of the information that I am providing for you today is based on knowledge that I've gained through reading documents, reading information, through talking to people who've had experiences with going through the citizenship process, as well as some information that I got from people who actually are working with Ghana immigration. And getting all of this information together, I decided to put together this video so that I can share with you this information. And then you can do your research as to what you will need to do for yourself. So thank you, everybody who's joined. I know that I just came on this live. I made the decision today to do this video. Earlier today, I posted that I would be going live. So hopefully some of you will join. If you're not here now, maybe you could be watching later, and put your questions in the comments if you do have more questions. Thank you so much, Kwame, for joining this live stream today. I appreciate you. You are one of the loyal followers on this channel, and I appreciate you every time you come on. So thank you, everybody who has joined. We have a few people who are online right now, hoping that more people join. As you're joining, please do share with me where you are watching from. I would love to know where in the world you are and what your interest is in when it comes to citizenship in Ghana. As some of you may have seen over the years, Ghana has been granting citizenship to members of the diaspora community. In 2016, before the year of return, President Mahama had granted citizenship to members of the diaspora. I believe it was about 34 people who got citizenship in that year of 2016. And then in 2019, during the year of return, President Nana Akufo-Addo granted citizenship to about 126 people, and that was under the year of return. And then in 2022, there was another group of people who got citizenship. I believe it was more than 200 people who got citizenship under the Beyond the Return campaign. The president granted citizenship to another group of diasporans. And then this year, 2024, 524 people were granted citizenship in November under Beyond the Return initiatives, diaspora initiatives. The president granted citizenship to a large group of people this year. And that has caused a lot of people to ask questions as to how they can also become citizens of Ghana. So let me go into the comments. Kwame is watching from the UK. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. We have Efia in Africa who says that she already has her citizenship. God, that's great. I'm glad that you have it. And there's a lot of people who are hoping to get it. We have Damian Mitchell, who's from North Carolina, and said his father-in-law is Ghanaian. He and his wife want to get citizenship one day. Well, if your father-in-law is Ghanaian, that means your wife is Ghanaian. It's your wife's father, correct? I'm just wanting to make sure. If it's your wife's father, your process of getting citizenship is different than people who don't have any lineage, because she would automatically be able to get citizenship through her father, and then you as a spouse. So it's a different type of process, but I'll touch on a little bit on that today. Lisa Jones is watching from the US. Thank you for joining, Lisa. Damien said correct. Yes. Thank you so much for joining in today. So I'm going to jump right in. We have a few people here. I don't want to keep you waiting because other people are trickling in a little bit later. So Ghana has a Citizenship Act where there are rules that are to be followed when it comes to getting citizenship. I know that with the large batches of people getting citizenship, it seems like it's an easy thing to get. So, for example, when I was working with the Beyond the Return office, we would occasionally have people popping into the office and asking how they can get citizenship. And sometimes it literally would be somebody comes in the office and they're like, oh, I'm here on holidays for, a week or 2 weeks or whatever it is. And I want to know if I can get my citizenship while I'm here. So there's this like assumption that you just come and then you just get it and leave. But it's not that simple. So I thought it was important to do this video because that's also another example of how often, people are asking. So before I jump into the citizenship information, I'm going to first mention that Ghana has a law that is the Right of Abode. The Right of Abode Act has been a law in Ghana for more than 20 years. It is, I believe it was 2000, the year of 2000. And the right of abode is basically the right of a person of African descent to reside in Ghana. And it's been a law, it's under the Ministry of Interior and Regional Integration. And it's been a law in Ghana like for a long time, long before Year of Return, long before Beyond the Return. The right of abode basically gives people of African descent the right to reside in Ghana. So there are requirements. You would have to have an application letter that gets addressed to the Ministry of Interior that you're applying for the right of abode to reside in Ghana. And that is something that somebody who wants to live in Ghana would be doing along with getting their residency. So the right of abode, I think Ghana is the only country in Africa that has this right of abode for people of African descent, having the right to live in the country. But you do have to go through the legal processes of going through the Ministry of Interior that you want to reside in Ghana under the right of abode, and they will tell you the documentation that you need in order to do that. So let me go back to the comments and see who else is in the comments joining. Lisa Jones says, I would like to get citizenship because I'm building there in Ghana. That's great. You are, when you're building in the country, it means you are investing in the country. And I understand that there are things that make life a little bit easier when you do have citizenship in the country. So other than being born in the country, because when you're born in Ghana, you are a citizen of Ghana. I had somebody on TikTok who commented on one of my videos when I said, if you're born in Ghana, in one of the comments, that you're a citizen, and the person didn't believe it. And I'm like, well, I was born in Ghana, but I left when I was like 2 years old. And then when I came back later in life, I was able to use my birth certificate, a family member signs to say who you really are, affidavit thing to say that you really are who you say you are. And then, and it's like, it's that simple. Then I, got my passport and everything. So when you're born in the country, it's completely different. So I just wanted to mention that in case there are people in the diaspora who are Ghanaians that were born in Ghana, but left, at a young age, and now they've become citizens of a different country. If you have your birth certificate and you're in Ghana, you can apply for your documentation using your birth certificate, using a family member who would, sign an affidavit that you are who you say you are, and it's a faster process because you were born in the country and you have a birth certificate to prove it. If you don't have your birth certificate, you're going to have to go through the process of getting your birth certificate, which you would go to the births and deaths records to go and get a record of your birth so that you can get that as evidence to prove who you are. That's for people born in Ghana. So let me go back to the comments really quickly before I continue. Lisa Jones, I said that one already. So if I'm saying your name wrong, let me know, because I think it might be Lisa Jones rather than Lisa Jones. I think it's Lisa Jones. If it's, let me know if I'm saying it right. KG says Ghana isn't birthright. One of your parents have to be Ghanaian or you have to naturalize. What do you mean Ghana isn't birthright? If you're born in Ghana, it's your birthright to be a citizen of Ghana. Because I was born in Ghana, left when I was 2, and I was able to come back, use my birth certificate to get all of my documentation. If one of your parents is Ghanaian, then yes, you can get your Ghanaian citizenship through one of your parents or even one of your grandparents. But it goes through a process that takes some time because they have to prove the evidence of who you are, which comes through things like the affidavits, going through the court system, getting them to sign. Because I remember me, even being born, they asked me to have somebody sign to say that I am who I say I am and that I'm really the person on the birth certificate. So yeah, it's some further investigation. I mean, time is taken for you to be able to do that. But when you have a parent who's Ghanaian or a grandparent who's Ghanaian, that's the processes that you would be going through to get your citizenship through one of the parents. It's not the same thing as the naturalization process for somebody who has absolutely no lineage to the country. Lissa says, born in Jamaica, living in the US. Okay. If you're born in Jamaica, living in the US, when you come to Ghana, you do need a visa to travel to Ghana if you're traveling on a US passport. If you're traveling on a Jamaica passport, then you do not need a visa to enter Ghana if you're traveling on a Jamaica passport. So just something to note. KG says citizenship isn't automatic at birth. You got it because you are Ghanaian. But I was born in Ghana. Okay, let me just leave that. I don't want to debate this because today's topic is not focused on the Ghanaian aspect necessarily, although I touch on it because there are a lot of people who have absolutely no lineage to Ghana, no ties to Ghana through parents or grandparent, any relative, and want to know how they can get citizenship, and their process is going to be a bit different. Yeah. But thank you for adding to the comments. Kwame says, Ivy, I think Ivy, for many diaspora Africans, it goes beyond just citizenship. For many, they feel it's their African birthright, being rest my head of African state and the link with their ancestors. Yeah, I agree. There's a lot of people who believe it's their birthright, that being a person of African descent, they should be able to get citizenship. So I do know that there are a lot of people who want it because they feel that it's their right to have it. It wasn't their fault that their families centuries ago were displaced, were taken away, not displaced, were taken away without their choice to another place. So yes, a lot of people want it for that reason. KG says, I mean, let's say my parents aren't Ghanaians and I was born in Ghana, I wouldn't get it automatically. I'd have to apply after some time. Okay, so that's a different type of case that you're referring to. So, okay, all right. You've brought up something completely different. And this is an area that I didn't spend a lot of time with when a person is born in the country and they don't have Ghanaian parents or grandparents. So that's a different, that's different. And thank you for bringing that up because it's something that I did not spend a lot of time researching. So thank you for bringing that up. I'll have to look for that in the future. Sorry, we're not trying to debate. No worries at all. I think I just misunderstood what you were saying and you clarified it in your previous comment. So thank you. Okay, so moving along, citizenship in Ghana. You can get citizenship through naturalization, registration, and there's a third way which I'll mention. But let me start off with the registration. So what they call registration is the type of citizenship that is by virtue of being married to a Ghanaian person. And so when you're married to a Ghanaian, you would get forms from the Ministry of Interior. So the forms would come from the Ministry of Interior. So the Ministry of Interior is who is responsible for a lot of the citizenship documentation and the right of abode, which I mentioned at the beginning of this live stream. Let me just write it on the screen in case people are not sure what I'm saying. Ministry of Interior is who you would be getting your documents from when you're doing registration because you're married to a Ghanaian person. So the forms have fees, and the minister in the Ministry of Interior would forward your documents to Ghana Immigration. So you would need to have your marriage certificate, your birth certificate, and then the birth certificate of your Ghanaian spouse, who to prove that that person actually is a Ghanaian that you're married to. And so all of that documentation goes to the Ministry of Interior, and then they then give it to Ghana Immigration. They want to, prove that your marriage is a real marriage, and then that's a whole other process for getting citizenship. Typically, people that I know who've gone through that process have said it could take anywhere from 2 to 5 years, depending on the case, is my understanding from what people have told me from their experiences for citizenship by marriage. Lissa Jones says, I'm a U.S. citizen. Now, what is the procedure for me? So the procedure for you to come to Ghana, just to visit, if you're coming for a visit, you would need a visa as an American citizen. For travel to Ghana, to enter the country, you would enter on a visa. So that's the case for you when you're entering as an American. Okay, so back to the ways of citizenship. I just finished talking about citizenship by registration, which is the citizenship done when you are married to a Ghanaian citizen. And it can take, I've heard people say it's taken them between 2 to 5 years to actually get their citizenship when they're married to a Ghanaian. This is what I've been told by people who have married Ghanaians as to how long it has taken for them to actually get their citizenship. So the next way that people get citizenship is by naturalization. So citizenship by naturalization is the most common, and there's a bunch of qualifications needed for you to get your citizenship through naturalization. So this is all according to Ghana Immigration, Ministry of Interior information that I have read up on. If anything changes, this is as of today. Today is December 29, 2024. I just want to say that date because things change in laws, and it could change. This video could be up for a while and things could change, and then it would seem like I'm giving misinformation or inaccurate information. So I just want to state that as of today, this date is December 29, 2024. The things that I have read upon regarding naturalization for Ghanaian citizenship. So the first thing is, the law says that a person must have lived in Ghana for 12 months immediately preceding their application. And that's according to Section 14 of the Citizenship Act in Ghana. So that means, let's say if a person's gonna apply for citizenship today, December 29th, 2024, that means they should have been living in Ghana for 12 months, for 12 months up until that date for them to apply. And they say 12 consecutive months, but they've also said that there are provisions on a case-by-case basis because there's an understanding that people may travel for a week and come back if they're doing business or if they're visiting family who are out of the country. So the person from Ghana Immigration said that it was in aggregate, it should be 9 months within the 12-month period aggregate. That's what she said. So yeah. And then during the 7 years preceding the 12 months that you're actually filing the application, the person must have lived in Ghana for at least 5 aggregate years within an 8-year period. So that's like a combined 5 years within an 8-year period, because that allows for, if a person, travels out to do business, travels out to see family or what may be, they're coming and going, but they have to have been in Ghana for a total aggregate time of 5 years within an 8-year period, according to what the person at Ghana Immigration said. And this is to show your seriousness about being a Ghanaian. So it can take a while. So that's why I often tell people it can take 8 years for you to apply and get Ghanaian citizenship. I'm going to continue because we've seen that there's people who've gotten it in less time, but I'll mention that later on. But right for now, I want to go through all these processes so that you understand. Also, the person should be seen as of good character, and you have to have 2 Ghanaians indicate how long they've known you, and they would write a letter about your good character and that you're a law-abiding citizen. So that means that through the time you're living in Ghana, you would have forged relationships with people. People who will be able to attest to the kind of person you are, and they'll be able to write a letter, sign an affidavit to say the kind of person you are, your character, and that you're worthy of being a Ghanaian citizen. I know that these comments are coming up, and that's why I said I'm going to get there. I'm going to get there because the law says immigration law says you're supposed to live in the country for 8 years, but there are people who've gotten it sooner. So let me go to the comments. Comment says, Ivy, I've seen some people getting citizenship in like 2 months. That's very lucky. Some people stayed 20 plus years and recently got it. Next comment is, get the likes up and share, support this valuable information by our precious Ivy Prosper. Thank you, Wisdom. I appreciate you. Thank you. So yeah, okay. I hope this information is helpful and valuable for you. Don't forget, if you find it valuable, to share this video with others who will find this information valuable as well, because it is information that I'm doing my best to provide accurate information so that people have a better understanding of the process of getting citizenship in Ghana. Okay, so let me continue. The next thing is the person needs to get a criminal background check to prove that they don't have a criminal history. So getting a background check from the police department, and then having it certified, and then the police records shown to the Ministry of Interior, Ghana Immigration, to confirm that you are a law-abiding citizen. The other thing is, it also says that a person should understand a Ghanaian language. But I personally have seen this not enforced, because there's a lot of people who've become citizens of Ghana who don't know how to speak a local language. A lot have made an effort to learn, key phrases here and there. But I do know quite a few people who have become citizens and don't know how to speak a local language. They do have every intent to learn. So based on that, I have a strong feeling that it's not enforced as much as it seems when it's written in, the processes as to what is needed when you apply for citizenship in Ghana. I hope everybody's following along with me here. KG says very helpful. Kwame says this video is very helpful. Thank you so much. I will continue to share this information because I think it's very important. A lot of people want to know. And then the next thing is the person must show that they are going to make a considerable contribution to Ghana, or that they have made a contribution to Ghana, whether it's through investments into the economy, starting a business, investing in the education sector, investing in the medical sector, just showing that you have a strong commitment to doing something that's going to support the country, help the country, to show that you're serious about being a Ghanaian and doing something that's actually going to move the country forward and uplift the country in some way. So that's another one of the things that is a requirement. And then your documents, everything you fill out, gets taken to the Ministry of Interior, who then take your documents to Ghana Immigration. Now, the Ghana Immigration takes the time to do investigations. They want to just make sure that everything that you've put in the documents put together is accurate. And then they, after they go through everything, it gets sent to the president, because the president has the ultimate power to approve someone as a citizen of Ghana. Thank you so much for everybody for watching. I appreciate you. Let's see, let me go back to the comments. KG says, isn't English a Ghanaian language? No, English is a British language. I mean, it's considered an official language of Ghana because it was a British colony. And so that language has been what's been left over from the former colonizers. And a lot of people speak English. So it's one of the reasons why it's easy for people to come to Ghana from countries like the US, the UK, Canada, Jamaica, because of being able to speak English and getting by. But the immigration law says that you're supposed to understand a local language and local indigenous language. So, but I see it not being heavily enforced because there's a lot of people I meet who don't know how to speak a local language, but they got citizenship. So, but yes, that was a funny question because, yeah, it's a funny question, but thank you for asking. Next comment says, what if you were born in Ghana and left Ghana at a young age to Canada and now Canadian citizen? Okay, Aphrodisiac, thank you for joining. You joined a little bit late. I went through this earlier, but I'll say it again. I was born in Ghana, left for Canada when I was 2, became a Canadian citizen. Then I came back to Ghana later in life, and I simply went with my birth certificate and had to have a family member sign an affidavit to confirm who I really am, that is it really me, or I'm not falsifying who I am. So a family member in Ghana has to sign that legal document to say you are who you say you are. And then that's it. That's what I did. I did it personally. So I'm speaking from personal experience. So you can do the same. Thank you for asking. Going back to the comments, Paulette, thank you for the information. You're welcome. I just tuned in. Sorry. It's okay. I just repeated it in case there's people who are tuning in. It's all good. Maybe she can answer again. Yes, I did. Just to, sometimes it's helpful. Kwame says, I did ask you about the return when you did live with Joe from AA. So it's becomes law. Hopefully things should be more straightforward. Okay. Maybe you're talking to somebody specifically in the comments because you mentioned Joe from AA. So, but thank you for your comments, Kwame. Always engaged. I appreciate you. So continuing on, I just finished going through the things needed for naturalization when you want to become a naturalized citizen of Ghana. And as I mentioned, according to Ghana Immigration, it is supposed to take 8 years for you to be able to get citizenship in Ghana. But we have seen a lot of people getting citizenship in Ghana in less time. And so people wonder, why that is. Yeah, people wonder why that is. But I'll get to that in a moment. Let me just get to the comments. Is birth certificate same as Canadian passport? Because I don't have my birth certificate. Okay. Your Canadian passport is not a birth certificate, even though your Canadian passport will say in it that you were born in Ghana, because my Canadian passport said in it that I was born in Ghana, but it's not the documentation you would use to prove that you were Ghanaian. So without the birth certificate, I mentioned this earlier as well, but because you joined late, but I'll repeat it in case there are others as well. You would have to go to the births and deaths office, the government office that has the records of all the births and deaths in Ghana that were registered. If your birth was registered, which is very important because we have sometimes in informal societies, and when I say informal societies, sometimes in the remote villages, some people won't even register a birth. But it's something that they are really trying to enforce across Ghana to make sure that everybody registers their births. So if your birth was registered, you would go to the births and deaths registry and go with some ID, and then you make a request for your birth certificate, your birth records. So they would get that for you. You pay a fee, they'll get that for you, and then they'll give you a copy, a certified copy of your birth certificate, your proof of birth in Ghana. That's what you would need to do. Go to the births and deaths office and request a copy of your birth certificate, and that's it. And you pay a fee, and that's it. I hope that helps. Next person in the comments, I have my old Ghana passport. I don't have a birth certificate. I think that's enough to renew. If you have your old Ghana passport, maybe you can renew it. If you have an old Ghana passport, yes, you can renew your passport. But I think it depends on how old the passport is too. Because I think if it's like, if your passport's from like the 70s or like the 80s or something, it might be too old. But if it's like newly expired, then yes, you can. The question about the old passport again. You can try, depending on how old your passport is. Depending on how old your passport is, okay? Depending on how old your passport is. Anthony Clemenson, thank you for joining. He's asking, what if you were born in the US, but both or one parent is Ghanaian? Can you still apply for citizenship for Ghana? Yes. I covered this earlier in the live stream. Yes, if you have one parent or you have a grandparent or both parents, both grandparents who are Ghanaian, born in Ghana, you can apply because you are a direct child descendant of them. Excuse me. So you would have to go through a process. There's a separate process that you would need to do. And it is actually easier to do when you're in Ghana, because I know that they say that you can go to the embassy or the consulates in the US or whichever country you're in. But the process takes so much longer when you're out of the country. It's like you're best to actually be in Ghana to try to do this stuff, especially because, you know, they might ask for the records of your parents' birth or the records of your grandparents' birth, and then you're in Ghana, you'll be able to get that kind of stuff. So it's easier to do some of this stuff when you're actually in the country. So if you're able to be in the country, yeah, that's is helpful. I hope that answers your question. Okay, so moving along. So we all saw there's like citizenship ceremonies that had people getting their citizenship in Ghana. For those who may not have seen it, I just want to show a really quick, I'll show a really quick brief of from my video from when people got citizenship recently, for people who may not know. I just want to share this with you. And yeah, before I continue. November 19th, 2024 will go down in the history books as a great day for the global African diaspora. I saw so many people I've met over the years living in Ghana, doing business in Ghana, building a community in Ghana. This was truly the manifestation of the dreams of the Pan-Africanist leaders like Marcus Garvey, W.E.B. Du Bois, and Ghana's first president, Dr. Kwame Nkrumah. It was the coming together of Africans and the African diaspora. This generation and previous generations, many inspired by things like Panifest, the Joseph Project, the Year of Return, and Beyond the Return, and the words of Pan-Africanist leaders, they've had their dreams realized, they've had their dreams fulfilled, and many of them believe their ancestors are smiling down on them. These are the new citizens of Ghana. This was a ceremony that brought together 524 people from the diaspora to get citizenship as new Ghanaians. As for me, I was overjoyed to see all of these people have their dreams realized. What a beautiful day. It really was a beautiful day. It really was, to see that many people. So, as I mentioned earlier, In 2016, President Mahama granted citizenship to about 34 people from the diaspora. In 2019, President Nana Akufo-Addo granted citizenship to about 126 people from the diaspora. In 2022, President Nana Akufo-Addo again granted citizenship to over 200 people from the diaspora. And then this year, 2024, the president gave citizenship to 524 people. Now, as someone said earlier, they know somebody who's gotten citizenship in 2 months. There are quite a number of people who got citizenship within these last 3 who were not living in Ghana for the 8 years that the law generally says you are supposed to be living in Ghana. So how did it happen? Well, as I had mentioned earlier, when I talked about the process of getting citizenship, I had said that once the Ministry of Interior and Ghana Immigration have gotten documents together and they take everything to the president has ultimate power to approve someone as a citizen of Ghana. So many of these people from the diaspora in these large groups have been able to get citizenship with the support of the Diaspora Affairs Office helping with some of the interview process with the ministry, collaborating with the Ministry of Interior. And the president has final say. So being that the president launched the Year of Return and the Beyond the Return initiatives, inviting the diaspora to come home, one of the big things that the diaspora often wants is citizenship in the country. And then one of the pillars of the Beyond the Return initiative is called Diaspora Pathways to Ghana. And under Diaspora Pathways to Ghana, it basically is finding a pathway for the diaspora to be able to live in Ghana, to work, do business, to just have an easy transition, softer landing when they come to Ghana. And one of those ways that people can get that is through becoming a citizen of the country. And so the president recognizes that and acknowledges that and wanted to do whatever he could to support that. The people still had to apply for residency. The people still had to have interviews with Ministry of Interior. They still have to have meetings with the Diaspora Affairs Office of the President. They still had to prove that they were law-abiding citizens, law-abiding people, residents. They still had to get police reports to prove criminal background checks. They had to do all of that. And then the president granted citizenship by executive order. So the president can supersede what the laws of the land say and say, I want to give this person citizenship. So the president has the power to supersede what the rules and regulations say and say, you know what? I want to grant this person citizenship. They've proven that they are a law-abiding citizen. They've proven that they want to invest in this country. They've proven that they want the betterment of this nation. And so the president, by executive order, has the power to give citizenship to people from the diaspora who want to come to Ghana, want to live in Ghana, want to invest in Ghana. And this really aligns well with the right of abode, which goes back to the whole idea of the rights of somebody of African descent to live in Ghana. And it bridges back to the whole Pan-Africanist vibe of Ghana, the Pan-Africanist history of Ghana over decades since Kwame Nkrumah. So the president has the power by executive order to give somebody citizenship, even if they haven't lived in the country for the 8 years. But they still, as I said, had to go through the processes of getting the residency, getting proof of criminal background check, prove that they are, a law-abiding citizen, prove that they are interested in investing in the country, or if they've already invested in the country, they have to prove those things that they want to do. And so that is it. So if you are not part of a group that, or part of the timing of when an executive order of citizenship is being done, you do go through the process, the normal process of the 8 years of living in Ghana. Yeah, I hope that answers your question. The next one, Romeo Kwame says, President Mahama will surely grant a bunch of citizenships in 2028 and maybe a few in December 2025. That's very possible, especially because, I mean, he's actually the one that started it in like with groups in 2016. Oops, I just knocked this. In 2016, he actually started the whole group of diaspora citizenships. So I won't doubt that he will do it again, and he might do it at a bigger scale. Now that we've seen this whole process, I'm sure that he will do that for sure. I wouldn't be surprised. And for those who don't know, because some people don't know Ghana politics, we had an election in Ghana this year. So the current president, Nana Akufo-Addo, is the outgoing president. He will finish his presidency, I believe the first week of January is when his last week in office. And then the new President-elect Mahama, who was actually president in Ghana before and lost to the current president, has come back to take office. And he starts his presidency in January. So yes, we're going to see a lot of things happening, changing in the country. Menelik Cheney says, is it expected of those who seek to become citizens to be fluent in a local language, or is it acceptable to be able to speak basic phrases? I do understand the importance of learning a language. As I mentioned earlier, it is one of the requirements for getting citizenship according to the rules and regulations. However, I have seen people who don't speak local languages get citizenship. So I'm certain that they don't enforce it as much. A lot of people know basic phrases. So I'm sure knowing basic phrases and showing you have an interest in learning would be enough. Ivy, you're so patient. Yes, I try. Thank you. You did a live stream with Authentic African a few days after the 524 weekend. Yes, I did. I did do one with him. He wanted to talk to me and have some information. So we had a live stream together. I asked about the Return Act, and if it becomes law, hopefully it will become more straightforward. Yes. So there's a Homeland Return Act, which Kwame is referring to, that was supposed to have been passed. Let me just put on the screen, Homeland Return Act, which was to have been passed, but it didn't pass before the end of this president's term. So I don't know what's going to happen with it, because that Homeland Return Act was supposed to be something that would help the diaspora get citizenship faster. And unfortunately, it did not pass before this president is going out. So it'll be interesting to see what happens if it ends up being passed, or if it ends up being just, what's the word I'm looking for? Sometimes when there's a changeover in government, it might just get lost in the shuffle, or it might just, I don't know, it just might not happen. But it may. So don't let me be pessimistic about it. It may go ahead and go through. So we'll see. We'll see what happens with the next administration, if it does get passed or not. Let's see. I hope that everybody has found this to be informative. I wanted to do this live stream today so that people would get information on this. Let's see. We have some comments here. Ivy Prosper, greetings from Ho Volta region. I'm now an artist in residence teaching music at Bakpe DA Basic School. That's wonderful. Fantastic. That's really great. Anthony Clemens says, President Mahama might want to top that 524 Nana Akufo-Addo did. He might do 600. Let's see what happens. You just never know. So this is the information I want to give you all today, that I have, the knowledge that I have about citizenship in Ghana. I just wanted to make sure that people were aware of what's needed. So with the naturalization process, earlier I mentioned that you have to fill out forms. There are forms and there are fees for those forms. And in the naturalization process, if you have residency, you have to show your proof of residency. And if you have a business, you have to show your certificate of your business, incorporation. They'll want to know tax information, tax clearance of your business if you're running a business in Ghana. If your accounts get audited of your business. And then also, if you have land, they'll want to see a copy of your documents, your land indenture. They'll want to have a copy of your biodata page of your passport. This is all through the naturalization process, some of the documents that they'll be requesting for your citizenship application by naturalization. So yeah, it can be a grueling process. And when I say grueling, I mean like time consuming, because as I said, it can take up to 8 years for you to get your citizenship when you are doing it the normal way. But the large numbers that we saw over the last few years of people getting citizenship have also been under the president's executive order of giving people their citizenship. So that answers your questions. I hope that it has been helpful for all of you, because it's questions that I keep getting every day in my DMs. People keep asking me about the citizenship process. I've had people who, because they've seen the news and see what happens, and they think it's this thing that you just land and you just come and you just get it. But there is a process for getting citizenship. And if you're fortunate enough to be in the country, because a lot of the people who got citizenship, this recent one, were already in the country, they're already living here, they're already doing some things. And then they found out that the president was going to be granting citizenship to some of the diaspora, due to this whole Beyond the Return and the Diaspora Pathways to Ghana pillar, trying to keep the diaspora connected, making sure that the diaspora connects with their homeland, with the soil of Africa, and help in reconnecting with their roots, as well as helping to build in Ghana, connecting with the local community. And so it's a win-win for both sides, for people who feel that they're connecting with home, with the motherland, or they're looking at opportunities to invest, and then connecting with the local Africans. So it's a win-win all around for everyone. So I'm going to wrap up, because I've given all the information that I have. If I get more information, I'll do another live to share more information. Kwame says, these are changing fast. Benin, Burkina Faso, Sierra Leone, Gambia are following down the road of citizenship. It's just a matter of time, Ivy, and all the work everyone is doing. Yes. I know that Sierra Leone, I don't know exactly how the other countries are doing it, but I know for sure that Sierra Leone is doing citizenship by DNA. So they've partnered with African Ancestry, and they do these DNA tests to find out if you have any direct lineage to Sierra Leone. And if you do, you get citizenship. So they find that one of your percentage of your bloodline, your DNA, connects with one of the tribes of Sierra Leone, then you get automatic citizenship. So that's how they've been doing it the last few years. So I know that there's other countries who are exploring it. Thank you for mentioning that, Kwame. And then also, there's one thing I want to say. If you are an African from another African country and want to travel to Ghana, the president has added a new thing, that it's going to be visa-free for all African passport holders to travel to Ghana. And I think this is a landmark decision for him to make just before he's leaving office, because it opens up the doors for Africans coming to Ghana from other African countries. And also because the African Continental Free Trade Area office is in Ghana, it makes perfect sense, because doing business, trade with other African countries, just reconnecting the continental diaspora is so important. So I think that was a big kudos and a big congratulations for the president of Ghana, President Nana Akufo-Addo, to make that decision to make it visa free for all African passport holders. So that would be really, really great. comments coming in. KG says, great initiative. Anthony says, Benin Republic is offering citizenship via Ancestry too. Thank you for sharing that. I didn't know that, so I appreciate you sharing that information. Thank you. Kwame says, Benin, you lived there for 3 years and you can apply for citizenship. Thank you for sharing that. Lisa Jones says, but Ivy, is that person in Canada don't have to get their Ghana birth certificate in order to get a Canadian passport? Getting the Canadian passport is not the conversation here. I mean, the person probably had their birth certificate to get their Canadian passport, and maybe they've lost it over the years. They've probably lost it over the years. That could be a very strong possibility. But the fact is, when they come to Ghana and they want to get their Ghanaian passport or Ghanaian citizenship status, all that stuff, they need to have their Ghana birth certificate to prove it. So whatever was done on the Canadian side is already done. She may have lost, he or she may have lost. Anybody watching, if it's a, but this one was a she because it's Afia. She may have lost her birth certificate, and that's why she's asking about it. So, yeah, thank you for your question. And Kwame says, this is only for Africans. Yes, that's why I said African passport holders. Passport holders from African countries are the ones that President Nana Akufo-Addo has granted visa-free to come to Ghana. And then Anthony Clemenson says, President Nana is going out with a bang. I agree. He is going out with a bang when it comes to this whole diaspora connection, making sure that the diaspora have a place they can call home in Ghana. He has really done a good job when it comes to that. I applaud him for keeping the diaspora in mind, because they are really a key to helping with developing the nation, a key to helping to connect with, brothers and sisters that, have been disconnected over centuries. They're a key to bringing fresh ideas and collaborating with people here who also have great ideas, because it's like the two heads are better than one kind of thing coming together. So he's done a great job. I applaud him. I will applaud President Akufo-Addo for this year of return, beyond the return, and granting people citizenship for Ghana. Miss S says, actually, you don't have to live in Benin. You can apply from your home country. For example, in the UK, America, you only have to visit once in 3 years for permanence. That's interesting. Okay. I'll have to look that up. Thank you for sharing that information. People are coming up in the comments with some information. That's good. Very good. Thank you so much for sharing that. So I hope that this live stream has been helpful. If anybody wants to support this channel, you can always, tap the super thanks, tap the thanks button, the super chat button, and show your support in all the work that I do in bringing you information, bringing you content on this channel. You can also do. Oh, I'm drawing a blank now. If it comes to me, I'll say it. I can't believe I'm forgetting what I was going to say. Yes, you can support this channel by hitting the super chat button or the super thanks button. Okay, Majua Butterfly says, or when parents are Ghanaian born and a kid is born in Canada or USA, they need their parents' passports, copy of birth certificate of the foreign country. Thank you so much for sharing that. We talked about that earlier, and I appreciate you sharing it again, because there are people who may have joined later and now see it as well. Thank you so much for adding to the conversation. And Wisdom says, thank you, Ever Prosper. And thank you, Wisdom, for watching. I couldn't do this without you and all the other people who join in for my live streams or watch my videos in general. I am here to keep bringing you content and keep sharing information that you can use for yourself. Thank you so much, KG, for supporting the channel. I appreciate you. I appreciate you so much. So all of this stuff that I was sharing was because I wanted to make sure that I answered some of these questions for people, because a lot of people have been asking about citizenship in Ghana, and I understand why. There's a lot of people who are feeling disgruntled where they live. They're feeling they want somewhere else to go where they see opportunity. They feel they want somewhere else to go where they can feel a sense of peace and a sense of joy. So I understand Ghana has its challenges. It's not a perfect country, but it definitely provides an opportunity for people to explore something new. It's like the sky is limitless. There's a man who moved to Ghana from Jamaica. His name is Kavoy Burton, and he was saying it's like moving to Ghana is like a limitless place because you don't have a glass ceiling like you do somewhere else. Because he, coming from Jamaica, he thought about, he was like, if he moves to America, he knows there's going to be a glass ceiling. He can't really, reach for the stars. And so he decides that Ghana is a place for him to reach for the stars. Thank you so much, Isabel, for the super sticker. I appreciate you. Appreciate you so much. Thank you. Thank you. So he said that Ghana is a limitless place. And so it's very important that he was able to come here and he's able to thrive. Like, he came to Ghana in 2020, and now he owns a restaurant that is serving Ghanaian food. He was actually working at a Jamaican restaurant that's here as well. And then now he's opened up his own restaurant. So he's been able to do things that he feels he wouldn't have been able to do if he went to the UK or went to the US. It would have been a slower process as an immigrant coming into those countries. So he saw Ghana as a place that he can do these types of things. So been on here for a while now, for about an hour now. And I really want to thank all of you for joining. I want to briefly go over the things that I said earlier so that if you joined late, I'm giving you a quick recap. This is a quick recap. So I had said the ways to get citizenship in Ghana. The first one is by registration. And this is for somebody who has no connection to Ghana. If you have no connection to Ghana, no lineage, like no parents, no grandparents, registration is the type of citizenship when you are married to somebody. Okay? So registration is through marriage. When you are married to a Ghanaian, you can apply for citizenship through your spouse, showing evidence of the spouse's citizenship in Ghana, evidence the spouse was born in Ghana, through their biodata page on their passport, through their birth certificates. They may have you sign affidavits, those types of things. And then there's fees that you pay, goes to the Ministry of Interior, goes to the Ghana Immigration before it gets presented to the president. So citizenship by registration through marriage is one of the ways that you can apply. I've known people to get it within 2 to 5 years when it's through marriage and you're following the proper processes. Of course, there have been people I've met who it's taken longer. Everybody's case is different. There could be things that people have that you don't know about because people don't always tell you everything about their personal situation. But typically, most people I know, it's been between 2 to 5 years when they do registration through marriage. And then the other way is the most common way you hear about, which is naturalization. So citizenship by naturalization is the one where you become a resident first before you apply for citizenship. So as I mentioned, it can take 8 years to get citizenship. The person must have resided in Ghana for 12 months consecutively preceding the time that you actually file your application. So the time you actually file your application for citizenship, you must have been living in Ghana for 12 months. Now they say 12 consecutive months, but they also consider that people may have to leave the country for different reasons. Maybe it might be for business, it might be to visit family, 1 week, 2 weeks here and there. So they said an aggregate 9 months when you subtract those movements in and out, but it's got to be a bare minimum of the aggregate 9 months within that 12-month period. Okay? And then during the 7 months preceding that 12-month period, you must have been in Ghana for a minimum of 5 months aggregate during the 7-year period. I hope this isn't confusing you. And then you also have to prove that you are of good character. So in proving that you are of good character, You must have 2 Ghanaians who will sign affidavits that you are a person of good character, who you say you are. And their preference are in people who have, respectable position, so-called respectable, because I think anything is respectable because every job is important. But when they say respectable, they're talking about things like lawyers, doctors, some office person. Like, they're talking about people who are in these certain positions that they see as the person would make a valuable assessment as to the type of person that you are. And so at least 2 people who can sign these affidavits that you are a person of good character. And then a criminal background check. You must have a criminal background check. And that criminal background check, if you have a criminal background, it's likely you're not going to get it. So criminal background check must be done, submitted with Ghana Immigration. They go through everything to check your history before you are able to fully become a citizen. And then they say the next thing, I'm doing this review because I talked about this earlier, but I'm reviewing it again for those who joined late. And then you must, they say you must speak an indigenous local language. However, I've seen a lot of people get citizenship who do not speak a local language. I don't think they enforce it heavily. I think that they're okay if you know some basic phrases and you're trying to learn the language, you show you're trying to learn the language. And then you also must show that you're going to make a considerable contribution to the nation, whether it's through investments in business, in the in the economy some way, in education, in medical fields. Show that you are a person who's going to make a contribution to society. And then your documents are all taken to the Ministry of Interior, and then they take it to Ghana Ministry of Interior and Ghana Immigration. So that's Ministry of Interior. And then Ghana Immigration, before everything's reviewed, before it's taken to the presidency. Okay. And then finally, by executive order, the presidential executive order, he can supersede all of the rules to grant you citizenship, which is what we've seen. If you want to look up more information about citizenship in Ghana, the Citizenship Act from 2001, just Google Citizenship Act 2001, and you can get a little bit of information. The other way that people get citizenship is if it's a child and they're adopted by a Ghanaian. So if you're an American couple and if you're a Ghanaian couple and you've adopted an American child or something, that American child can become a Ghanaian citizen through the adoption process. So that's another way, just throwing it out there because you never know. There's always different situations. So that's it. I'm wrapping up. Thank you so much for being here and for listening. This person, Antonio May, says, if I can just get a resident permit first, I'll be happy. So with the resident permit, you would do that through the Ministry of Interior as well. And you could go through the right of abode. The right of abode is what states that you have the right as a person of African descent to reside in Ghana. That's been a law in Ghana for over 20 years. Right of abode. So if you look up right of abode, it's under Ministry of Interior. Typically when you're in the country already, that's when you do it. You can't do it remotely. So you can't be living outside of the country and trying to make these applications. You actually have to be in Ghana to do these things. So yeah, thank you so much for that comment. So yeah, thank you, everybody. I really appreciate you. Today, I just wanted to go through that information because a lot of people have been asking me, how do you get citizenship in Ghana? How can I get a citizenship? I've seen so many people get citizenship. I want to get it too. How can I do it? And so I wanted to give you these answers because so many people have been asking me these questions. So many people since November when that huge ceremony happened. So I wanted to be able to share this information with you today. So I really appreciate you. If you are not a subscriber to this channel and you enjoyed this content or you enjoyed other videos you may have watched on my channel, I would really appreciate it if you would subscribe to the channel. The more numbers I have, the more growth And then it gives me more opportunity to get more interesting people, more interesting conversations, to be able to travel to different destinations so that I can share that with you as well. This is something that I'm really passionate about doing, sharing stories from Africa and with the African diaspora here on the continent and beyond. And so in order for me to be able to do that on a bigger scale, that comes with bigger numbers. So I really appreciate you. You can share this video with other people who you think may need this information. And then don't forget to hit the like button. I really appreciate you. Once again, my name is Ivy Prosper, sharing stories from Africa and the African diaspora. I thank you for being here today, and I'll see you again.